shipmate, family member, friend, and co-worker, to recognize his years of dedicated service to our nation and the freedoms that we all enjoy. This not only marks the completion of our shipmate and friend's military career, but also the beginning of new endeavors. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce the presiding official for today's ceremony, Captain Brian Gilda, Commander, 2nd Northern New England. Captain Gilda assumed the duties as Commander of Coast Guard, 2nd Northern New England in May 2013. He oversees all Coast Guard missions and operations in a jurisdiction that spans Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Northern New York. He commands 19 field units and over 1,100 personnel, ensuring mission execution across 5,200 miles of coastline, the international border with Canada, and Lake Champlain. His previous assignment was as Deputy of 2nd Northern Wing. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Gilda.
Good morning, and thank you. Senior Chief, thanks for those words. As we gather here to send Chief Ferris off, I realized this morning that it's really not goodbye, because I saw his office and you wouldn't know that he's leaving. He's got everything up on the wall, everything at his desk. So I'm certain that I'm going to see him around again. Just a few more days. But I welcome you to Sector Northern New England, and more importantly, to the retirement of Chief James Ferris. We really appreciate so many people coming together, standing room only. I know a lot of you, thanks for finding a chair. We're going to make it all standing room only with a bunch of empty seats up front. But what a great gathering, and we're fortunate with the weather to have it kind of a indoor but outdoor type ceremony, which is very fitting as we mark your career. I'd like to give a special welcome to Rhonda, Jim's wife, his sons Josh and Justin, and Justin's joined by his girlfriend Sam. Welcome. His brother Shane and wife Tessa, and Shane's sitting in the back there with the flag detail. And just want to mention that Shane is a U.S. Navy Chief Gunner's mate. So as we talk about Jim's career today, you'll kind of start to understand, all of us have influences and, how we make directions, and I'm certain that Shane was part of that influence that sent you on a certain course of actions. Then we also have Jim's niece and nephew, Morgan and Dante, joining us today, so thank you for being here. This ceremony is being recorded, right?
Yes, Captain.
So I wanted to have everybody know that Chief's mother, father, stepdad, and his daughter Jessica were not able to be here today. So if you'd stand up and scan around, we're going to give kind of a warm welcome to them. They'll be joining us later. So around. So while they're not here in person, I know that they're with us today and thinking about Jim and his retirement. It's a good time to reflect. Well, the retirement ceremonies like this remind us all in uniform of our obligation to continue to mentor others in the organization so they prepare to lead and carry on the professionalism and tradition of these services, of our service. And it's a good time to reflect back on what it means to give 29 years of service. A career that led him to 2 branches of the armed forces, took him all over the world, places like Thailand, Mexico, Dutch Harbor, Alaska, which he said is the best salmon fishing he's ever seen. And it's readily apparent that he had an outstanding upbringing that instilled a foundation of integrity, honesty, and duty to care for one another. His mom and dad certainly did a fine job bringing him up, which kind of leads us to where we begin in 1986 with his decision to join the Navy. So as you kind of search, and my 5 years with Chief here, we came just about the same time and spent that time together, and he's somebody that has many different layers, and I continue to learn more and more about it, and I always have this reaction like, wow, you did that, or you did that, and and I knew that I hadn't figured out everything, so I kind of turned to the internet internet to see what else I could find out. And you know, the internet's really great, but you got to remember that it was only developed in 1989, which is 3 years after he joined. So you know, it seems like there's a lot of maybe things missing there. So you know, if you go to the internet and type in James Ferris, you know, you get 8,000 hits in about a little less than a second using Google. But you know, the first thing that comes up is the Major League Baseball draft results. James Ferris drafted in the 9th round by the Chicago Cubs. Well, that's not him. If you take that same James Ferris and you put USCG, 200,000 results come back. You can try this at home. And there's only one that comes out on top. That's Chief Jim Ferris right here. And you can, so if you miss some of my details, there's more on the internet, but it's #1 hit on the internet, and it's out there. So, you know, as we look at that, you know, 1986, kind of put it in context, you know, we had the Space Shuttle Challenger explosion, the worst ever nuclear disaster occurs at Chernobyl, gas was 89 cents a gallon, Top Gun and Platoon are among the popular movies, and the musician Prince still went by the name Prince at that time. So in January 1986, Jim joined the Navy and was assigned to the USS New Jersey, BB-62, also called the Big J, which was home ported in Long Beach, California. And it's one of the most decorated battleships in U.S. history, and it would be decommissioned 5 years after he first went to it, or basically spent the next 3 years on there. And so just a few years after he left, it was decommissioned. So, you know, really a big part of history. And you know, going back to the internet, go to Wikipedia, and it has a whole thing on it, but you know, they only put certain things in there. But you think about the time when he was joining, it was just after the deployment to Lebanon, and basically, I just want to read an excerpt just to kind of put it in context. But when he went on the New Jersey, the ship began the next deployment operating in the Pacific Fleet and was the centerpiece of her own battle group. It's the first time that New Jersey had operational control of her own group of escorts since the Korean War, and she cruised from Hawaii to Thailand in 1986, freeing up aircraft carriers for other missions, and in the process becoming the only major U.S. naval presence in the region from May to October. Although in command of her own battleship battle group, New Jersey did sail with aircraft carriers while deployed. According to declassified command history for the nuclear-armed battleship New Jersey, during her transit through the Sea of Okhotsk, in September '86, close passes were made by Soviet Bear and Badger bombers and helicopters. And this really marked the first time in history that a U.S. battleship had operated in the Soviet Navy's backyard. So, you know, he came in at a time where there was really some things going on, and you think about what happened later, that, you know, he was in the thick of it and he saw some things. But more importantly, in October 1986, Jim married his high school sweetheart, Rhonda. So, you know, it was quite a year, you know, joining the Navy, going and seeing a lot of different places. And I think, you know, very defining when you look at his career, the experience that he gained there. It was also on the New Jersey in 1988, while he's underway on a Persian Gulf Westpac tour, they received a telegram, yes, a telegram, from the chaplain that displayed some awesome news that he's a proud father, and Justin had just been born. So, you know, you think, I'm sorry, Josh. Skipped ahead, sorry, Justin. So Josh had been born, but you think about that, and that's, you know, back then, you know, telegrams sent to the ship, and proud father, and a few months later it was followed up by your mother-in-law saying never to do that again, which I think you listened to her, and all the other children were born while you were around. So, you know, it's, you know, you think about the type of career and the sacrifices that the Navy and all services make you have. So after New Jersey, he went to the Military Sea Lift Command, Northern Japan, which sounds really cool, but would you guess that it's actually in Oklahoma City? So he went in the reserves. And I was like, wow, you're stationed in Japan. It's like, no, he actually, during those 2 years, he never went to Japan, and he described it as the most boring, uneventful unit I've ever been a part of. Literally wanted to poke pencils in my eye sockets every weekend to make the pain go away. Almost said goodbye to the military career forever. So, he spent 2 years there. Look, I thought it was an Oconus deployment, but no, it's Oklahoma City. And then in 1990, he went to basically his reserve unit, transferred to the Mobile Inshore Undersea Warfare Unit 113. So Mobile Inshore Undersea Warfare Unit 113. I mean, who comes up with these names?
Nothing easy to name.
Inshore Undersea. In Oklahoma City now. So. But this was actually, for the next 8 years, this is where he, kind of got some perspective on the Coast Guard and, enjoyed their working with a lot of different services, doing drug interdiction, surveillance missions, and, I think this is where he was introduced to the Coast Guard and really said, hey, that's, an organization I'd be excited about being a part of. So fast forward to 1998, when he basically started to pursue an opportunity. He's a BM1 in the Navy, looking at the Coast Guard. Of course, us all knowing the Coast Guard's going to say, well, maybe we'll let you come, but we'll make you a BM2. We'll save us some money. So, just for a time reference, 98, important things like the Free Willy Star Kiko goes to Iceland for eventual release into the wild. That year, Microsoft became the biggest company in the world, and also that year, the Department of Justice initiated some antitrust proceedings against Microsoft. Something called Google was founded, which proved very useful to me in the last week as we prepared for this. And a gallon of gas would cost you $1.15. Some of the movies from that year, Wedding Singer, Saving Private Ryan, and the Titanic topped the list. So as he came over to the Coast Guard, his first assignment was the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Alert, which is home ported in Astoria, Oregon. So he's, if you can imagine his perspective, having been on the New Jersey, coming over to a 210-foot cutter, and after being boatswain, how hard can it be, really? A small white cutter. But he shared with me that it was really a learning experience, and as all of you heard, there's a lot more responsibility, put on our petty officers that are really, earlier in their careers. So had a lot of learning to do. I think one of the things that he, showed up and his recruiter didn't share with him is he showed up for his first day on work report aboard in Trops, and he was wearing the white crew neck T-shirt. So he was going around. They let him go to about lunchtime before the chief said, hey, we don't wear the white crew neck T-shirts, it's the V-neck. So, apparently something his recruiter purposely didn't tell him when they issued him the sea bag just to get a good laugh out of it. So, but he quickly gained a lot of experience. Brought his own skills over from the Navy to contribute there on the Alert in Astoria, and spent 2 years there. And then in 2000, he reported to Station St. Clair Shores, Michigan for the next 3 years. And during that time period, like many of us, we can all kind of recall where and what we were doing during 9/11. And that day he was out on the 41-footer, the 41449, and they were doing helo ops, and recalled back to the station informed of the terrorist attacks on the Twin Towers. And about that, he says, that day changed the Coast Guard as I knew it forever. And I think many of us had the same thoughts. From there, he moved to Station Manistee, Michigan, for his first XPO tour, Executive Petty Officer tour, in 2003. and was there for the next 4 years. And that's, that area, it's pretty busy, but it's also called the Gold Coast of Michigan, which, for a reason. So, he enjoyed, growing as a leader, and also had some great fishing up there, which he enjoyed very much. Then in 2007, based on his experience at the station, he was moved to Green Bay, Wisconsin for another XBO tour, and basically was part of the decommissioning crew for that unit. So there, he got a lot of qualifications, he got a lot of aids to navigation experience. He decommissioned the ANT team and then moved from ANT Green Bay to Two Rivers to stand up the, which we have one as a station/aids to navigation team, which we have over at Burlington, but there they stood one of those similar units up in Two Rivers. So really the right person at the right time, with both station experience and some aids to navigation experience to, make that happen for the Coast Guard. So while he was there, he managed to persuade the detailer to transfer his billet as the ATON supervisor and basically put his family at ease, at least for another year, knowing that they could stay in the great state of Wisconsin. And then it was out to Crescent City, California, where he served on the Dorado. Again, another executive petty officer tour, and you can see the progression where he's hit a lot of different mission areas, boats, ants, and now to the cutter. And based on that, when he was assigned here into our Ready for Operations program, he really came in with the ideal skill set. And for those that don't know, the Ready for Operations really checks all the units. They're kind of the center of excellence that keeps our rescue and survival systems, basically keeps people safe doing operations. And I can tell you from my personal experience, he's not only helping the units, but helping personal members on a daily basis, making sure, areas that they don't know. He's our technical expert and has been for the last 5 years. So while I say it's going to be hard to replace him, he did exactly what I said earlier, and he's been preparing people, not just as replacement, but growing the Coast Guard, this whole time. And while he'll certainly be missed, Dyer's ready to go. We've got all the petty officers and stations and units that have really come up a level, thanks to the Chief's hard work and efforts here. I can tell you personally, once a year, these dry suits that we wear, you have to get in the water and make sure that they don't leak. I procrastinated until it was January, where I finally really needed to do it. So he personally got with me. We went down to the boathouse here. He dressed out. I got in the water. He loaned me his gloves. But he was there and jumped in the water, and I knew that if I had any problems, he's going to take care of me. But that's the kind of personal level dedication that he exhibits. And I think as I look out in the audience, I think everybody here has had that kind of contact and relationship with Chief. But I'd also say that it's more than just his job that he does. Yes, he's a technical expert. He gets the things done, but he's really an integral part of the Coast Guard family and community here, and that we're going to certainly miss. He's an active member of the Chiefs Mess, and really just a positive influence to have around. So that when you move out of your office, that aspect's going to be missed. But I know you're not going too far away, so it's something where we hope to see you around frequently and very often, and I suspect that we will. So with that, Chief, I'd like to ask you to join me as we more formally recognize your accomplishments.
Citation to accompany the award of the Coast Guard Commendation Medal to James K. Ferris, Chief Boatswain's Mate, United States Coast Guard. Chief Petty Officer Ferris is cited for outstanding achievement while serving at Coast Guard Sector Northern New England from November 2010 to May 2015. Upon reporting, he immediately acclimated to his role as team leader for Sector's Ready for Operations team, providing superior service through flexible scheduling, meticulous inspections, proficiency testing, casualty control drills, and one-on-one training. He made significant contributions to the operational readiness of the Coast Guard's small boat and cutter forces community, which includes 6 cutters, 8 small boat stations, 2 aids and navigation teams, 2 marine safety detachments, and the Sector's Response Department, all located throughout a 4-state area. His efforts directly contributed to 4 units receiving the coveted Sumner I. Kimball Readiness Award in June 2012 and June 2013, respectively. Fulfilling a short-notice field support request, he led a 5-person RFO Tiger team that aggressively prepared Stanton Burlington for the 2012 Standardization Team inspection. Expending numerous hours, his interventions increased Stanton's overall readiness and ensured the success of the stand visit. As an active mentor, he provided career counseling, assisted with service-wide examination preparations, and recognized excellence amongst multiple subunit petty officers. In 2014, he implemented the first-time use of the new stand team evaluation system, Stand 2.0, for the 9 sector units and properly integrated the new scoring and evaluation standards into the sector's RFO program, resulting in a smooth transition. Making substantial contributions to the sector's Chiefs Mess, he helped arrange retirement ceremonies and departing gifts, sponsored cookouts, volunteered at the Preble Street Soup Kitchen, delivered food donations, mentored prospective Chief Petty Officers, participated in multiple Chief Call to Indoctrination events, and served as mess treasurer. With the completion of 21 years of service to the nation, he leaves behind a legacy of outstanding leadership that has made a difference in the lives of many. Chief Ferris's dedication, judgment, and devotion to duty are most heartily commended and are keeping with the highest traditions of the United States Coast Guard. The operational distinguishing device is authorized. Next, Chief Ferris will receive his retirement certificate. Absolutely.
You can either stand or please have a seat. So I just wanted, before I sit down or we continue, later on in the ceremony, you're going to see a flag folding, or I'm sorry, a flag passing ceremony. And oftentimes, it's very symbolic, but sometimes for those that don't know, there's even more symbolism kind of embedded in this. And today, as you see it, and it really is pretty remarkable that it reflects kind of the extent of your reach in your career and those that you're influence. All the members of the flag passing team are individuals that Chief has served with during his careers at each unit, right? Yes. At each unit. Shane, his brother, is going to represent the Navy for the time on the USS New Jersey, but for all the other members, they are people that you served with at the particular units that I mentioned. Is that correct?
With the exception of
Green Bay, which was
it's only
decommissioned.
correct. Only decommissioned, only 8 members, and only 1 left after that. So he's on the West Coast. So Senior Chief Lehman has been kind enough to stand in for Green Bay. Okay, so Senior Chief Lehman's standing in for Green Bay since it's there's only 1 person from Green Bay left in the Coast Guard. After 2 right now.
2, okay. Then there will only be 1. So as I close out my remarks, I kind of went, giving it some thought about, what Chief Ferris means to all this. I came up with some kind of word groupings that I think really reflect, who he is. He's a leader, a mentor, and an operator. He's an innovator, a contributor, and a chief, a Coast Guardsman, a father, a husband, a collector, a tinkerer, and a brewer. Very good one at that. a technical expert, a teacher, an aircraft painter. He actually did that before he joined the Navy, painted aircraft. He's a hockey coach, heavy equipment operator, and a lifesaver. And with that, I wanted to present him a command coin, and he already has one of these, except not one of these. So this command coin on the back, for those that have seen it, it looks normal on the front, but on the back, there's a blue lobster that's been added. And the blue lobster is a rare lobster. They say it's a 1 in a million. And Chief, I think it's appropriate that you have one of these 1 in a million command coins for a 1 in a million Chief.
Now, Chief Ferris will receive his certificate of retirement. From the Armed Forces of the United States of America, to all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that Chief Petty Officer James Ferris, having been retired after honorable service in the United States Coast Guard, is awarded this testimonial as an acknowledgement of duty faithfully performed during a period of over 20 years. Done at Washington, D.C., the first day of May, in the year of our Lord, 2015. Paul F. Zukoff, Admiral, U.S. Coast Guard, Commandant. Captain Gilda will now present Chief Ferris with a certificate of appreciation for service in the Armed Forces. Certificate of Appreciation for Service in the Armed Forces of the United States of America. Chief Petty Officer Ferris, I extend to you my personal thanks and sincere appreciation of a grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of our nation during a critical time in its history with a devotion to duty and spirit of sacrifice in keeping with the proud traditions of military service. Your commitment and dedication have been an inspiration for those who will follow in your footsteps and for all Americans who will join me today in saluting you for a job extremely well done. My best wishes to you for happiness and success in your future. Barack Obama, Commander-in-Chief. Ron, will you now join your husband up front, please? This is a small reminder from the Coast Guard. Your husband would not have been able to contribute so successfully and wholeheartedly to the service without your spirit and loyalty. Certificate of Appreciation from the United States Coast Guard. To all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that Rhonda Ferris has earned grateful appreciation for her unselfish, faithful, and devoted service during her husband's Coast Guard career. Her unfailing support and understanding helped to make possible her husband's lasting contribution to the nation. Given this first day of May 2015, Paul F. Zukoff, Admiral, United States Coast Guard, Commandant. The Coast Guard wife. The good Lord was creating a model for military wives and was into a 6th day of overtime when an angel appeared. She said, Lord, you seem to be having some trouble with this one. What's wrong with the standard model? The Lord replied, have you seen the specs on this order? She has to be completely independent, possess the qualities of both father and mother, be a perfect hostess to 4 or 40 with an hour's notice, run on coffee and Mountain Dew, handle every emergency imaginable without a manual, be able to carry on cheerfully, even if she is pregnant and has the flu. And she must be willing to move 10 times in 17 years. And oh yes, she must have 6 pairs of hands. The angel shook her head. 6 pairs of hands? No way. The Lord continued, don't worry, we will make other military wives to help her. And we will give her an unusually strong heart so she can swell with pride in her husband's achievements, sustain the pain of separations, beat unsoundly when it is overworked and tired, and be large enough to say, I understand, when she doesn't, and say, I love you regardless. Lord, said the angel, touching his arm gently, go to bed and get some rest. You can finish this tomorrow. I can't stop now, said the Lord. I am so close to creating something unique. Already this model heals herself when she is sick, can put up 6 unexpected guests for the weekend, wave goodbye to her husband from a pier, a depot, or a runway, and understand why it's important that he leave. The angel circled the model of the military wife, looked at it closely and sighed, "It looks fine, but it's too soft." "She might be soft," replied the Lord, "but she has the strength of a lion. You would not believe what she can endure." Finally, the angel bent over and ran her finger across the cheek of the Lord's creation. "There's a leak," she announced. "Something is wrong with the construction. I am not surprised that it has cracked. You are trying to put too much in this model." The Lord appeared offended at the angel's lack of confidence. "What you see is not a leak," he said. "It's a tear." "A tear? What is it there for?" asked the angel. The Lord replied, "It's for joy, sadness, pain, disappointment, loneliness, pride, and dedication to all the values that she and her husband hold dear." "You are a genius," exclaimed the angel. The Lord looked puzzled and replied, "I didn't put it there." Author unknown. Thank you, Ron. You may be seated. Will Justin and Joshua join their father up front? United States Coast Guard Certificate of Appreciation. To all who shall see these presents, greetings. It is my pleasure to express the grateful appreciation of the United States Coast Guard to you for enduring frequent separations from your father while he served his country. Your father was often required to do important Coast Guard work, which prevented him from spending more time with you. You should know that your father's successful career has been challenging and has required an unselfish devotion to service to others. He would have preferred to have been at home to help you when you needed him, but his outstanding work in support of our country was also very important to your future. Your understanding has been essential to his success. The United States Coast Guard thanks you for your support given this first day of May 2015. P.S. Gilda, Captain, U.S. Coast Guard, Commander, 2nd Northern Army.
Thanks, Dan.
You all may be seated. The flag of the United States of America was born almost casually in 1777. Over the years, it has evolved into a symbol of the free world. To the men and women of the United States Armed Forces, it symbolizes the concept of duty, honor, and country. President Woodrow Wilson once said, "This flag, which we honor and under which we serve, is the emblem of our unity, our power, our thought, and our purpose as a nation." Upon their retirement, our nation honored her career service members by the presentation of a national ensign. Chief Harris, prepare to receive the retirement flag. I am the flag of the United States of America. My name is Old Glory. I fly atop the world's tallest buildings. I stand watch in America's halls of justice. I fly majestically over great institutions of learning. I stand guard with the greatest military power in the world. Look up and see me. I stand for peace, honor, truth, and justice. I stand for freedom. I flew from the USS New Jersey when BM3 Ferris served aboard. I am confident, I am arrogant, I am proud. When I am flown with my fellow banners, my head is a little higher, my colors a little truer. I bow to no one. I was with BM2 Ferris aboard Coast Guard Cutter Alert. I am recognized all over the world. I am worshipped, I am saluted, I am respected, I am revered. I am loved and I am feared. I have fought every battle of American war for more than 200 years. When America fought for her freedom, I was there. When America fought for the freedom of others in World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Persian Gulf, and Iraq, I was there. When B-1 Ferris was at Coast Guard Station St. Clair Shores, I was there. I am presently in the mountains of Afghanistan and the deserts of Iraq, and wherever courage leads freedom's inspiration. I led airmen, soldiers, merchant mariners, sailors, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen. I followed them. I watched over them. They loved me. I was at Coast Guard Station Manistee. I was dirty, battle-worn, and tired, but they cheered me and I was proud. I have been soiled, burnt, torn, and trampled on in the streets of countries that I have helped to liberate. It does not hurt, for I am invincible. I flew a Coast Guard Ace the Navigation Team Green Bay. I have been soiled upon, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of my own country. And when it is by those with whom I have served in battle, it hurts. But I shall overcome, for I am strong. I was at Coast Guard Station, Ace the Navigation Team 2 Rivers. I have slipped the bonds of Earth and stood watch over the uncharted frontiers of space from my vantage point on the moon. I have borne silent witness to all of America's finest hours, but my finest hours are yet to come. When I am torn into strips and use as bandages for my wounded comrades on the battlefield, when I am flown at half-mast to honor my soldiers, or when I lie in the trembling arms of a grieving parent at the grave of their fallen son or daughter, I am proud. I was proud when I flew from Coast Guard Cutter Dorado with Chief Ferris. I have been here since Chief Ferris joined the service, and now I fly proudly as he accepts his orders to retirement at Sector Northern New England. I am proud to have served with Chief Ferris during his 29 years of service to our country. I will be with him in his retirement just as I was during his military service. Long may I wave. I am proud. My name is Old Glory.
DJ, out, face, out, arch.
It is customary to offer the retiree the opportunity to say a few words. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce the guest of honor, Chief Petty Officer James Ferris, U.S. Coast Guard, retired.
All right, over here. Got this long speech. I don't know if I'm going to make it through. But I will try. Before I do, I want to say thanks to everybody that showed up today. A lot of people drove great distance to be here. Jim Rusco, Mark Cody, Chuck, all the guys from Southwest Harbor, all the Chiefs mess. Can't say thanks enough. I'm sure I'm going to miss some names. Forgive me. You're never ready for this day. At least I'm not. As the captain said, all my stuff's still hanging in the office. So, here we go. Good morning. Thank you for coming. I'd like to give a special thank you to all the people who have traveled to be here today and those involved with putting this day together. To make my last day in the Coast Guard a memorable. As for thanking my shipmates, there are more people on this list that I could possibly cover. So please forgive me, as I'm sure I will miss someone deserving of recognition. And I realize I'm indebted to all that wear the uniform, or have wore the uniform that I have served with. First off, I'd like to say thanks to Captain, aka Chief Gelda. For those not aware, we made him an honorary chief. That's how much we think of him. He does an outstanding job, and he's going to be missed as well when he departs for the West Coast here shortly, I'm sure. So, again, thank you, Captain. Thank you for taking the time to speak at my retirement today. It's been a pleasure working under your command for the last 5 years, and I've enjoyed your very personal approach as a captain, and I'll miss our occasional trading of fine craft beer, as well as the foodie conversations on the best places to eat throughout New England. Next, I'd like to say thanks and recognize the Chiefs Mess for the fellowship, camaraderie over the last several years. And I'd like to especially recognize the few Chiefs for all their support, friendship, and the behind-the-scenes commitment that went into today's ceremony. Rob Lehman, thanks for the utilization of your facility and setup. Again, you're always there, not just for me, everybody else. So thank you for utilizing the Ant Bay once again. I chose the Ant Bay instead of the front lawn just because, man, there's no better place in the Coast Guard than an ant team. You know, that was by far my favorite tour. Just didn't last long enough. Hans Schultz, thanks for providing your golden voice as today's MC. You know, you've become known in such a short time. I think we'll probably get a few more requests. So thank you, and thank you for the small little boat drop as well, back drop as well. I appreciate that. So, Judd, Senior Chief Reno, thanks for a heartfelt prayer, man. Nothing like getting the waterworks started first thing off, so thank you. Sean Haggerty, thanks for coordinating the flag ceremony. So, went off without a hitch, obviously, and man, you were the man to do it. So, thank you again. Sean Froman and Eric Gage. Eric isn't here, but actually, Eric is here. All right, I'm getting my FS's mixed up. Forgive me. Sean Froman and Eric Gage, thanks for putting more effort than I probably deserve into the making of my shadow box and your ability to keep it hidden until today, which I still haven't seen, and I don't know what it's going to look like. So I'm sure you guys will, you know, bring another tear to my eye. So thank you for that. Now Steve Lyons, which isn't here, he's actually up preparing a cake and food and all this other stuff. So anyway, you can tell him I just broke down when I got to Steve Lyons and started crying and said, you missed the whole thing, you know. But anyway, I want to say thanks to him, even though he's not here. He was my project officer for putting all this together, from invitations to making probably the first ever Coast Guard Guinness retirement cake. I haven't seen that as well, but he's going to put a special twist to it, so we'll see what it looks like. Bailey's Irish King frosting, so hey, you know, it should be good. Don't worry, it's not too much alcohol content for anybody that doesn't drink. Feel free to indulge. RC, the man with the plan and getting it done. Thank you for all the countless hours spent going above and beyond the little things for my retirement. Having my flag flown above all my units. Including the USS New Jersey. It means a lot. Wow. I'm not even done with page 1 yet. Mr. Bradley, all the planning staff, thank you for putting up with the grumpy old chief at the end of the hall for the last several years and listening to me vent on occasion. Andy Gurman, thanks for stirring up the pot and making me vent. So nothing like a couple of Postmates to make that happen. Next, I want to recognize everyone that participated in the flag ceremony. But before I recognize them, I want to explain why and share a brief sea story from each. As everyone involved served with me in previous Coast Guard units, as the captain has already explained. My brother, we were actually on active duty together in the Navy. That's why he kicked the ceremony off with, you know, obviously not in uniform and sporting a nice little gear. So I'll be doing that soon. But he actually, my first deployment, my first Westpac, the very first port of call back into the States, he just happened to be stationed in Washington, so he came to pick me up. I took a few days liberty and went out fishing, catching sharks and whatever else we could get on the end of the hook. So it was a lot of fun, and again, it's a small world. So, but as for my other former shipmates in the Coast Guard, I'm going to share a quick little sea story with all of that as well. And those shipmates range from California, Oregon, Michigan, and Wisconsin, and they're all stationed here in Sector Northern New England now. So we are a small service, and I hope everyone realizes how small. And it's almost a guarantee that you will cross paths again with the people tomorrow, with the people you meet and serve with today. So with that said, be nice, because you don't know who you're going to run into again. You might be working for them. So today will mark my final days having the opportunity to serve next to a former shipmate, get underway to do the mission, or be part of something we all take for granted, and the fact that the Coast Guard pays us to do what we love. Unless it comes in the form of sharing a sea story from an old retired guy, and I haven't grasped the concept of me being the old retired guy yet, even though my first ship did have wooden decks. But I guess I'll get used to it over time. This will be difficult because there's no turning back, no do-overs. No ability to say, wow, I missed the sea. Honey, pack up the house and the kids. I'm getting back underway. Welcome back to active duty. This is it. Time to say goodbye. Open up the next chapter in this book we call life. Wow. All right. Wes, gotta get some laughter going here. You guys are killing me. Silence is dead. All right. Wes, soon to be Chief Wofford, thanks for the memories on Coast Guard Cutter Alert. I will never, ever forget Cabo San Lucas and bailing out half of my deck department after one of the most classic Liberty calls in history, after Aaron sinking the glass-bottom boat that came with 2 free cases of beer off of what's now known as Hardport Rock. And you can let him know, yeah, I said his name and brought it all up over again. So thank God for Coast Guard mutual assistance and an understanding CO. But you know, sailors having fun, port of call. It was a good time, and again, there were no page 7s, there were no 4910s. You know, myself and at the time DC2 Simpson, which was also used to be here in Sector Northern New England as Mr. Simpson in Southwest Harbor, we crafted a little boat for Aaron Harcourt, made out of wood with a glass bottom. The BM2 on board, my fellow shipmate, he was a surfman getting his sea time, which we don't have to do anymore, but he was on board complaining about every day of it. But getting his sea time, he gave me a surfman's pin, we cut it up, crumpled it, crashed it, pinned it to the boat, and pinned Seaman Harcourt at the time with his very own crashman's pin. So that's the camaraderie that you experience in the Coast Guard underway. And it's good. So, again, Wes, thanks for the memories, bud. Hopefully you got that mutual assistance loan paid off between you and the other 4 guys without any problem. But we did get you out of the Mexican authorities. Got everybody's IDs back and they're paid for, so it's all good. Mark, Chief Moore, thanks for the memories at Station St. Clair Shores. Ran a lot of cases, had some good times underway as well as on shore. From recovering a stolen boat, bringing the guy into custody who was still hammered from a night out with a couple of 1180s from Detroit and a $2 million yacht, terminating voyages and racking up DUIs during the annual Gold Island, all of Detroit, you can walk across the boats party, to the multitude of SAR cases and blowing off steam at all the unforgettable station morale parties. It was a lot of fun, and I'm glad you were there to experience it with me. Chris, Senior Chief Bouchard, thanks for the memories at Station Manistee. From Super Trooper reenactments, I'll say no more, to Red Man gearboxing, salmon fishing, and giving Big Papa Mel heart failure after we told him we were scuba diving off the MLB, scrubbing the hull in order to get a few more knots out of the 47284 prior to stand team inspection. We had another agenda with that as well, and that was, we're both divers, so in addition to scrubbing the hull, we went in search for a Lake Michigan shipwreck that you can only see certain times of the year, close to where we were anchored to scrub the hull. So unfortunately the sand had already shifted in Lake Michigan. We didn't find the wreck, but the 47284 passed full power with flying colors. So we did get a couple more knots out of her, get all the grime off of it, so that was good. So thanks, Chris, gonna miss you. Jason, Coos, and thanks for the memories at Stand 2 Rivers. Who's he at? We are way to the back. All right. Between the Body for Life challenge of seeing who could lose the most weight, trying to kill each other in the gym during the winter while playing dodgeball, to tearing up the countryside in the summer on the motocross track, I think we had more fun than should have been allowed. We managed to squeeze some work in there too, but you know, unfortunately, the 34 pounds I lost in Wisconsin has seemed to migrate to Maine. So now that you're here, be careful because yeah, it comes back quick. All right, Chris Hoffert, thanks for the memories on the Coast Guard cutter Dorado. Through good times and bad, we always seem to fall victim to Colt's jelly bean boozled game up on the bridge. And another shipmate that I was stationed with, Colt Betts, that was here at the Ant team. He's already departed, but anyway, he was on the Dorado with me as well. So if you're not picking up on this, the Coast Guard is very small for all you youngsters out there. Okay, so it's not goodbye, it's just, you know, trust me, you'll see him again. But anyway, back to the bamboozle game. Unlike a box of chocolates, not knowing what you're going to get was a bad thing. Pulling a random flavored jelly bean from a box was like playing Jelly Belly roulette, since licorice looked the same as skunk spray, peach might actually be barf, and buttered popcorn may end up being a rotten egg. So, I don't know where he found these imposters of Jelly Belly look-alikes, but it had to be one of the best practical jokes around. So, and just watching the expression on everybody's faces, you get the one that you don't want, it's priceless. Again, more fun underway on the cutters. You got to do something, because you know, that's all you got. Some people. So, Sean, thanks for all the memories here at Sector and RFO shop in the last year and a half. I'm going to miss your unintentional comic relief that would bring a smile on my face and many times laughter that brought me to tears. I'm sure Callie can, you know, vouch for most of this, but things like the imaginary coffee cup that was never placed under the Keurig machine as you hit the brew button, only to discover the imaginary cup was just that, imaginary. The fun of a red Solo cup, which is not imaginary. Forecasting the day's weather conditions and battling gale force winds and blue heat that only a leaf blower could provide. And let's not forget the childless antics of two grown men pranking the stand team members by tying their hotel room doors shut across the hall from each other, then knocking on the doors, only to watch them struggle to get out as we're laughing and filming the whole thing like a couple of schoolgirls. I'm going to miss you, buddy. Thanks. All of these great times in the Coast Guard have but one common denominator, and that's what I will miss the most. That is the people. Through good times or bad, we experience them all with our shipmates. So I offer this as I transition to civilian life. Don't worry, you can't practice enough for your final speech. I'm telling you right now, it won't happen. Anyway, besides that, take time to get to know your shipmates. Seize the opportunity to do all the cool stuff while you still can. And there's a lot of it in the Coast Guard. If you think it's not cool, yeah, well, look at the civilian sector. They don't get to do the stuff we do. And don't take anything for granted, because just when you think you have things figured out, life happens. Before you know it, you'll be the one standing up here wondering what the hell happened, who's the old guy looking back in the mirror, and where his time gone. Trust me, it comes quicker than you think, and you won't know what to do when it gets here. That said, this is the hardest part. I'll bring things to a close so we can all head up to the scupper for some food and refreshments. But before we do, I have one final piece of recognition. By far the most important, that's my family. Almost done, I promise. Should have put something in this besides water.
I offered.
All right, I'd like to recognize my wife, Rhonda, for her 28 years of support and dedication, making it possible for me to chase my dreams and a lifelong career in the water doing what I love. Thanks for all your understanding. When you had to do things on your own, playing both mom and dad, for birthdays, holidays, anniversaries, school functions, and the list could go on. All while I was underway, T&E or standing duty, and pretty much having fun because the Coast Guard is fun. Thanks, honey. I love you for all you've done and continue to do. You're the best wife a man could ever ask for. Okay, got that out. Woo. Okay, I would like to say thanks to my sons Josh and Justin, my daughter Jessica, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, for their sacrifices they endured during our continual coast-to-coast and all points in between travels. I realized it was never easy being the new kid. And once you eliminated the new kid status, it was time to move and start the process all over. I can only hope that our frequent moving made you more resilient and you have gained a greater knowledge of the world and that it will make you better adults. However, now that you're all grown up, I think we'll stop moving. I love you all and proud to be your dad. Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Jim. You may be seated. We will now present Chief Ferris with his shadow box. Is that down here? We will not present him. But I'm going to talk about it. The tradition of presenting a shadow box to a retiring sailor is born of early British custom. In the days of sail, when Britain ruled the seas, it was considered bad luck for a sailor upon departure from a ship to allow his shadow to hit the pier before he himself departed the ship. In order to ensure no such misfortune would befall their shipmate, you know what? We'll read this up at the. That'll be the ship.
Gotcha.
All right. The watch. While some of us were in school learning our trade, the shipmate stood the watch. Yes, even before some of us were born into the world, he stood the watch. In those years when the storm clouds of war were seen brewing on the horizon of history, he stood the watch. Many times he would cast an eye ashore and see his family standing there, needing his guidance and help, needing that hand to hold during those hard times, yet he stood the watch. He stood the watch for 29 years so that we and our families and our fellow countrymen could sleep soundly each and every night, knowing that a sailor had the watch. Today, we are here to say, Chief Ferris, the watch stands relieved. Relieved by those you have trained, guided, and led. Shipmate, you stand relieved. We have the watch.